In a world addicted to noise, thinking is rebellion.
Let's begin with something that might unsettle you all the way to your core. Take a hard look at the world around you. Watch without turning away. Do you notice it? Crowds of people fill the streets, eyes wide open, yet their inner spark is extinguished. Expressions worn like masks, voices repeating borrowed lines, gestures looping endlessly like a lifeless performance. Most of those you encounter each day rarely feel anything genuine. They rarely believe in anything that hasn't already been processed and delivered to them. They don't engage with thoughts unless they've been reduced to headlines meant to tame attention spans. Now picture for a moment what you'd see if you could peer behind those eyes. Want the truth? You'd find nothing but a barren wasteland, a hollow silence where independent thought once resided. We've reached such a twisted stage that people would rather endure lies than confront silence. They choose distraction over clarity, even when that clarity could save them. And in the background, the very essence that once gave depth to existence is quietly evaporating. Think that's an exaggeration? Just watch their panic when the internet disconnects. Watch the agitation when the endless buzz of notifications stops. Look closer. They've become flesh-bound machines that only flicker to life when instructed, told what to buy, what to resent, what to pretend to adore. This isn't some metaphor, it's a genuine epidemic, not one that leaves rashes or fevers, but one that slowly corrodes awareness itself. An epidemic that has turned human attention into the most profitable commodity and made true reflection an unaffordable luxury. Ask yourself, how many people do you know who can sit quietly and explore their own mind without fleeing from the discomfort? How many could survive without screens, forced to face the echo of their own thoughts? That, right there, is the hidden wound. We're surrounded by people shaped like humans, but functioning as perfectly programmed automatons. And I don't say this with arrogance, I say it with dread. Because every day more of us begin to sense that same suffocation, that creeping suspicion that we too are sliding into the same void, becoming the very thing we once swore to resist, replaceable cogs in a machine that knows nothing of awareness or truth. Have you noticed how each year you crave stronger stimuli to feel anything? How boredom arrives faster? How focus crumbles like a shoreline battered by waves? That's not random, it's the product of a faceless design, a cycle spun tighter with every click, every hollow conversation, every post crafted to offend no one and mean nothing. Here's the chilling part. Each time you surrender to that flood of noise and triviality, something inside you withers, a flicker of clarity, a fragment of willpower, a spark of courage. No matter how sharp you think you are, no one escapes this erosion unless they resist deliberately. And resistance begins with one realization. Thinking is not optional. It's survival. Look with clear eyes and you'll see them. Masses of sedated souls outsourcing their consciousness to algorithms that dictate relevance. People unable to tell the difference between facts and wisdom, static and truth. Individuals convinced they are informed while their ability to question rots beneath the surface. If this doesn't unsettle you, then you're already infected. Because the first symptom of this disease is indifference. Do you feel that uneasy shiver running through you right now? That's proof something within you is still alive. And as long as that fragment remains, there's still hope. But know this. Awakening won't happen by accident. No one stumbles into clarity. This world is designed to keep you circling endlessly, mistaking distraction for happiness, avoiding uncomfortable questions with new diversions, leaving no space to ask why you've ended up this way. And here lies the dividing line between those who still cling to willpower and those already hollowed out. What if you stopped? If you silenced the competing voices? If instead of consuming more, you examined what's already inside you? Could you hold your own gaze without flinching at the emptiness? That void grows when left unchecked. At first, it feels like unease. Ignore it long enough and it devours everything until you too wander with vacant eyes, alive only by inertia. Countless people have already crossed that threshold. Their spirit dissolved into routine, their thoughts reduced to recycled slogans, their hearts pounding only because biology forces them to. So ask yourself, will you join them? Or will you fight to salvage what remains of you before you too become another compliant gear in a meaningless machine? Worse still, this doesn't happen merely because you let your guard down. Entire industries are devoted to manufacturing your apathy, an invisible apparatus, precise as clockwork, designed to package and sell your very awareness. This isn't figurative, it's literal. Every second of your attention is measured, bought, sold. That mix of urgency and emptiness when you open an app, that rush when you check for validation, it's because your brain has been conditioned like an animal trained with crumbs of dopamine. This is ignorance in its new disguise, not born from lack of access, but from drowning in excess. There's no need to censor books or close schools anymore. Flooding you with irrelevant noise is enough to keep society passive. Knowledge itself has been cheapened into trivia, a collection of lines repeated for the illusion of intelligence, never maturing into understanding. Why? Because true understanding requires patience, quiet, and discipline, and all three are incompatible with the system you're caught in. Even your desire to resist is poisoned by saturation. How many times have you promised to disconnect, only to feel anxiety clawing at you moments later? How often do you put the phone down, only for your mind to demand you check again? That's not weakness, that's programming. Picture your mind as a garden. In its natural state, it's fertile, alive, complex. Now imagine every notification, every headline, every hollow stimulus planting weeds. At first you can ignore them, but left alone, they overrun everything until nothing original can grow. Until the only thoughts you have are borrowed. Until you react according to scripts you never wrote. Does that sound dramatic? Then explain why the very idea of deep thought unsettles you. Why silence feels threatening. Deep down, you suspect there are no true roots beneath all those weeds, just scraps of others. Here lies the cruelest trap. We've been convinced that being informed equals being awake, as if collecting data were the same as freedom. But genuine, intellectual freedom doesn't come from quantity. It comes from discernment, from the courage to question until your certainties sting, from the patience to let doubts breathe without smothering them with instant answers. When was the last time you allowed a question to linger without rushing to Google it? When did you sit with uncertainty instead of turning it into entertainment? That ability to tolerate complexity is vanishing. Everything now must be simplified, labeled, judged instantly. In a world that worships speed, slow reflection is treated as weakness. Yet, if you dare to descend into silence, you'll discover that your stillness disturbs more than any shout. Pause and face this paradox. Never before have humans had such access to knowledge, and never before have we been so incapable of turning it into wisdom. Because when there's no filter, excess information doesn't enlighten, it makes us vulnerable. Knowledge without discernment is like an unrestrained weapon, it only destroys from within. If you still have some fragment of consciousness, let this discomfort grow. Don't smother it with more content. That unease is proof you're not fully domesticated. But if you don't act, if you don't choose deliberately what enters your mind, if you don't carve out silence for your own ideas, you'll end up no different from the crowd. Conditioned, hollow, irrelevant. Picture this. Walking through a city at dusk. Towers of glowing windows rise before you, each revealing a seemingly distinct life. But look closer. Every life mirrors the next. The same anxious eyes searching for validation, the same repeated gestures, the same consumer rituals. A choreography. No one agreed to, but everyone performs. How did we get here? Not through one catastrophic leap, but through countless tiny surrenders. Every time you traded reflection for amusement. Every time you chose the comfort of certainty over the tension of doubt. Every time you settled for fast judgment instead of slow understanding. That's how you end up with a society that looks alive but is hollow at its core. And that hollowness spreads. Each dulled mind becomes another carrier. Because once you stop questioning, you spread whatever simplistic idea keeps you distracted, whether truth or lie, so long as it numbs the terror of thinking. Do you feel it now? That cold awareness creeping up your spine? That's your consciousness, realizing its fragility. No one is fully immune, even you, even now. The real question is, will you surrender or resist? Will you live as an echo or reclaim your voice? Because in this world, thinking itself is rebellion, and rebellion carries a cost: loneliness, discomfort, uncertainty. But it's also the only path to something priceless: lucidity. And if you've listened this far, it means a part of you refuses to be tamed. Maybe you can't name it yet. Maybe you fear saying it aloud. But it's that quiet voice inside whispering, you deserve more than a counterfeit version of life. That voice is dangerous because once you listen, the world shifts. Familiar faces no longer comfort you. Routines lose their meaning. Cracks appear in facades and even in your own convictions. And yes, it's frightening, because awakening first destroys, burning away illusions, vanity, and false certainties. But destruction isn't the end. It's the start. When what's fake burns down, space opens for what's real. When you stop begging others to define you, you begin to discover yourself. When you stop scavenging on scraps of secondhand thoughts, you start creating your own. When you face silence unarmed, you finally realize your mind belongs to you. And thinking isn't decoration. It's your only path to freedom. Now maybe you feel that vertigo, that tingling in your chest. That's the edge of your own judgment. If you choose to cross it, don't expect praise, don't expect comfort. A society addicted to compliance won't welcome those who step out of line. You'll be called strange, cold, arrogant. Let them talk. While they sleepwalk, you'll hold something priceless. The ability to see without swallowing blindly, to question even alone, to feel even in a world numbed by apathy. So here's your challenge, one that won't vanish when this ends. Ask yourself each night, did I think something I wasn't taught? Did I feel something I wasn't ordered to? Did I own my mind, even briefly? If yes, then you've resisted. And in a world built to mold you into a compliant consumer, that is an act of heroism. If even a single word unsettled you, share it with someone who still has a glimmer of awareness. This conversation must not be buried beneath noise. And if you truly have the courage, write these words as proof you reach the end. Silence is my resistance. Because the only way forward is to create spaces where thought still burns. Spaces that may be uncomfortable, but necessary. Spaces where silence reveals that beneath all the static, there is a core untouched. Open it, as one would open a forbidden book. And remember, the longer you stare into the void, the clearer you'll see it was never empty. It was waiting for you. Thinking is resistance. And with that first spark, your quiet rebellion begins.